Oh my goodness, we are back after such a long COVID-induced break. COVID was not playing with us, so we were not playing with COVID. Good night and welcome to season 2 of Cut Deep, the newest talk show on the block. As you know, I am Cindy Roseanne Jones, your host. The concept of Cut Deep was developed with a focus of encouraging the wider public to think more in depth on issues that plague us, encouraging persons to have a voice and to use that voice to invoke change. Cut Deep is an interactive platform cutting through the noise and political rhetoric. It is raw, uncut, challenging you to think critically. What do the issues mean for us? What part do we play? It is a platform that will move the Virgin Islands toward unified, integrated success. Cut Deep Season 2 will be featured on 284 Media on Tuesdays from 8 to 9 p.m. Once again, welcome to Season 2 of Cut Deep. We will take a short break and be right back.
Is business slow, cash flow down, hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Welcome back to Cut Deep Season 2. Most of you are probably wondering, where is her white? Well, I've taken a break for a good cause. This month, we celebrate or acknowledge two important issues: Breast Cancer Awareness and Domestic Violence Awareness Month, both in October. Therefore, I will be in pink for breast cancer and my purple flower for domestic violence. A bit on breast cancer. The Breast Cancer Awareness Month, marked in countries across the world every October, helps to increase attention and to support for the awareness, early detection, and treatment, as well as palliative care of this disease. There are about 1.38 million new cases and 458,000 deaths from breast cancer each year. Breast cancer is by far the most common cancer in women worldwide, both in developed and developing countries. In low and middle income countries, the incidence has been rising up steadily in the last years due to increase in life expectancy, increased urbanization, and adaptation of Western lifestyles. Currently, there is not sufficient knowledge on the causes of breast cancer. Therefore, early detection of the disease remains the cornerstone of breast cancer control. When breast cancer is detected early and if adequate diagnosis and treatment are available, there is a good chance that breast cancer can be cured. If detected late, however, curative treatment is often no longer an option. In such cases, palliative care to relieve the suffering of patients and their families is needed. The majority of deaths occur in low and middle income countries, where most women with breast cancer are diagnosed in late stages due mainly to lack of awareness on early detection and barriers to health services. I commend the BVI Cancer Society and the Breast Cancer Awareness Club of the BVI for the work they continue to do to bring awareness and support to women, men, and their families in the BVI in dealing with the devastation of this dreadful disease. We will take a short break and we'll be right back with our guests. Welcome back to Season 2, Episode 1 of Cut Deep. Now would be the time to share the link to this episode. It's about to get warm in here, maybe hot. This particular episode, we will do a two-part episode over the next 2 weeks. This two-part show is entitled A Territory Download with Sam Henry. Yes, my special guest tonight is Mr. Julio Sam Henry himself. Sam has been on the political scene since moving home a few years ago, giving his advice across a range of issues affecting the territory. Tonight, Sam and I will download on the happenings across the territory for the past months. Sam, welcome to Cut Deep. Just introduce yourself to our listening audience so that they can get an idea of who you are.
Well, as usual, Cindy, thank you so much. I was surprised by, first of all, to get the call to come on the show. You and I, we have our differences, but being in the business together, being conscious, BV Islanders, I always respect your point of view, even if I disagree. I always believe when you're going into any conversation, always set the tone, agree to disagree. And if you agree, move forward together.
I totally agree.
So ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sam Henry, Julio Sam Henry. No stranger. Those who don't know me by now, you're probably not paying attention. So I'm here so we can have a meaningful discussion and dialogue on the state of the territory.
Wonderful. So let's get right into it. But before we do that, I just want to say thank you to Blossoms for this beautiful arrangement that they have sponsored us with. It is real. It is beautiful.
It's nice.
Blossoms Florists, they've done a wonderful job there on the Waterfront Drive. I want to thank McKelly's Hair and Beauty Salon for my hair and makeup. So Sam, a few niceties before we get into it. I would like to congratulate, and I'm sure you as well, Sam, the new Attorney General of these Virgin Islands, Dawn Smith.
Absolutely.
She's homegrown and is BVI excellent.
And she's from East End.
She hails from District 78. I know Empire 8 would love all the credit, but she's a proud product of District 78. Dawn is a generational Virgin Islander on both sides. I can't fully speak to her paternal side's accomplishments, but on her mom's side, through her grandmother, Rosita Davies, did you know Miss Rosita? Mm-hmm. Nee Pickering Stevens, originally of Fat Hogs Bay, under the lineage of the great Melvina Stevens, Dawn hails from a family that prides itself on education. A long line of doctors, lawyers, judges, magistrates, educators, nurses, accountants, economists, you name it. The most educated family out of the Eastern Districts. And I stand ready to be challenged on that.
Yes. No, I think it's great. I congratulate her as well. I'm very, very happy, very ecstatic to see somebody like her in a position. I think it's needed. I commend the government for having that type of focus moving forward. I've been advocating for the last 8 years in politics that many of our positions should go towards BV Islanders whenever possible first. And if anybody would remember, I think in the last 7 or 8 or 9 years, I have called out the last Attorney General, not knocking him, but simply believing that the support, the belief in defending the BVI at all costs, that we should always have people who have our interests at heart.
I agree with you. Dawn's grandmother would be proud, and her descendants carry on in great pride of continued excellence through our generations. There were also some other announcements that were made late yesterday. The new chair of the HLSCC board, Mrs. Fiona Forbes Vanterpool, Vice Chair, Mrs. Sauda Smith, new president, Mr. Richard Georges, and Dr. Arlene Thompson as Vice President of Academic Affairs. Congratulations is in order for everyone.
That's right. And with Richard Georges as well, because I'm on the scholarship committee. I have dialogues with him all the time. I just spoke to him at Dario's on Friday. He has some exciting sessions coming forward. And I think we should get our young people ready because the college is under his leadership is going to hopefully do some big things for our people.
I really love Richard Georges. I think he has great ideas. He's very smart, very intelligent, and I think he's going to do well in that position. I think he's been appointed for the next 3 years.
Hey, you know he's a poet.
Yes, and a writer. He's brilliant.
That's right.
While we're here, Sam, there is an opening for a new commissioner of police.
Oh, yeah.
I would like to see Superintendent Jacqueline Vanterpool fill that position. I think she's qualified, she's capable, she's no nonsense, she's humble, and I think she's ready.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Again, Cindy, anytime it comes to the advancement of our people, I am all for it. I've been talking to several officers up until this morning concerning scholarships and monies available for some of our officers to go further their education, advance themselves in the police academy. There's a situation right now brewing where we have the commissioner leaving. I can't say from the inside out, but from the outside in, based on what I've been hearing from some of these officers, there haven't been any succession sort of plan in place. Much of the, from the time the commissioner's been here, there doesn't seem to be any sort of real plan to allow some of these officers over the years to get the proper training, to get the right kind of education. So when he, at this point now, is leaving, one of those guys would be able to fill in, whether it's a guy or a woman. So if Ms. Vanterpool is the right candidate, I'm all for it.
Okay, wonderful. Wouldn't you say that that has happened with her, though, that she was prepared, being sent off for trainings and so forth, and not only being a local, but, I mean, Ms. Vanterpool is a woman.
Yeah.
We've never had a head of, or commissioner of police that's a female. I think now would be a good time to transition to that. I'm an advocate for women in leadership, naturally. So I would love to see her step up and take on that role, and see where we go from there. Maybe she'll be able to transform the department.
Well, let's just assume she got all the credentials. I saw the advertisement that they're advertising in the UK and Europe for replacement, and I tell you, we have a systemic problem here in this BVI where individual companies, organizations, when they want to set the bar so high, they don't set it to a point where all people them could reach it. So I want to hope and ensure that, yes, if she has the qualification, that she is seriously being considered.
Yeah, I think there are some positions, and we're going to get to all of that as we go down to certain portions of this discussion. But I feel like there are a couple outside influences in terms of certain positions, such as the Commissioner of the Police, Commissioner of Police. I think when it comes to internal BVI with our companies and labor and so forth, that starts with us and it has to end with us. But we're going to get there and go from there. Sam, tensions are running high across the territory. There's a lot happening. COVID swept in and things changed drastically. Since about mid-March, we are now heading to mid-October, and there seems to be no relief in sight, no clear way forward. Let's discuss. What I want to know, Sam, we're going to talk about a lot of different issues. This week, as we mentioned, is going to take on a two-part fold. What is your position on the government administration's management of COVID-19 to date? We're going to touch on the curfew, testing, border control, security fees, unemployment, failing businesses, stimulus failure, social security. Let's just touch on all of it and go from there.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm going to give the government a passing grade.
Okay.
Let's say 7.5, 8 out of 10. There's always room for improvement. There's been a lot of hiccups because, like everyone would admit, there's no clear plan. There's no way in the world, anyone, even the bigger countries, no one has a plan for defeating.
Well, we're not going to trip up on our words. We're not talking about defeating COVID. We're talking about managing COVID in most countries. Most of the smaller islands around the Caribbean, they've put forward plans. They may fall back have to reconsider and move again, but we're kind of still here in a bit of limbo.
True, true. I mean, I can agree to that. Where some countries, and I would have probably joined some of those countries stepping forward a lot earlier to combat the problem, to try to deal with it early so you can understand how to mitigate against the problem and fight against the problem. I probably would have joined some of those. But I'm not going to fault the government for the stand that they are taking based on how they are looking at the situation and trying to manage it.
What is their stand?
Well, based on what they're doing right now, that's their stand. I mean,
Which is what?
Well, the focus right now, as far as I'm seeing, is all again about safety for citizens, health for citizens. The government has put out this stimulus plan. It may not be perfect.
Which stimulus plan?
Well, the money that was approved and appropriated through the Social Security, we've seen money handed out to districts. We see now.
Has money gone out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
From the districts?
Yeah, from the district.
Okay. Which districts?
Well, I know at large representative, I understand the 8th district, 7th district, 6th district, 5th district have all handed out money to individuals. Some of them now are saying that the money's gone. The money's gone. So it's a lot of people. There's a lot of needs. So, you know, there's a lot of different avenues. We've seen there was a press release recently where the Trade Department, along with the Ministry of Finance, was handing out some checks. I saw a release saying, be patient, it's coming. I think some have already received some type of relief, and others are still waiting. So there's a lot of bureaucracy going on right now. Until we know where the bureaucracy is coming from, it's hard to like blame any entity or any government or any person. But yes, people are still waiting.
Okay,
That's a
in
fact.
terms of bureaucracy, then I guess let's take that on. Let's talk about Social Security.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would call what's going on inside of Social Security bureaucracy as opposed to how they are set up policy-wise. When the government talked about getting this money from Social Security, we knew that there was going to be a problem based on how Social Security is set up, and you won't be able to just hand out money willy-nilly. You would have to have certain things in place to receive this funding, correct? Just based on how Social
Well,
Security is set up.
We don't know for sure, but we would assume. You and I might
No,
have
we can't. No. We're not going to assume.
Well, you and I will have a little
The
bit more.
policy for Social Security is
Yeah.
that you would have to be paying into the fund to receive from the fund.
Yeah.
Right? Is that fair?
That's fair for you and I to say. But the majority of persons,
No, we're not talking about the majority of persons yet. We're not talking about about people. We're talking about. So we talked about the bureaucracy. So we're going to dive into that a bit. We want to talk about Social Security. That's where the lump sum of the money is coming from. Monies to individual people, like employees, it's being paid out through Social Security. Unless you've been paying in your funds, you can't receive your money.
yeah.
I talked
Unless you've been
about
up to
it.
date, yes.
Right. I talked about it in one of my very first shows, and I suggested to the government that it would probably be easier or better to pull the money from Social Security and pay it out from the government itself, because everybody's going to come up against that red tape. Correct? Now, I saw the minister for the subject, Honorable Wheatley Vincent. He put out, there was some information that came out last week as to how much money they've put out so far and how many people have received and who hasn't received. You have about 3,500 people that have received monies, and you have about just over 2,000 who hasn't received. To me, that's a failure.
Okay.
That's a C, because almost the same amount of people that receive hasn't received. So you haven't even, touched the surface of what people are dealing with. And then you have some people who have received a check for $79. Like, what am I going to do with a check for $79?
Yeah, I heard some stories about that.
So, I mean, in terms of that, I think the government could have done better there. I don't want to call what's going on with Social Security bureaucracy, because Social Security is set up on certain policies that they have to, abide by. Another thing I saw, the minister, I think it was this week, just passed, he was saying that they're still having problems with employers not paying in. What is your take on that? I have my take on it, but what is your take on that?
It's challenging either way. You have employers out here who are good people, good businesses, but are, bad characters. You know what I mean?
And so what should happen?
Well, if the government have enforcement arm, the government should be enforcing those arms. They should be enforcing the fact that if you're going to take somebody's money out, it must be paid in. If you're not paying in, the government should penalize those employers.
What is taking the government so long to penalize those employers?
I have no idea. I only could.
You can't even touch on it?
I only could assume who you know, what.
So conflict?
There could be conflict. There could be the companies, the individuals who are running these companies. There's all kinds of factors involved as to why government are afraid or just not doing what needs to be done. Even Social Security, for example, have a legal arm that goes after non-payers.
That are not their friends?
Yeah, well, I know I've heard stories where they have sued employers for contribution. So I would
and I've
assume
had
that
plenty stories, a lot of stories coming where people have complained and nothing has happened because whether apparently is it the president of is she a president, chairman? Whoever runs the Social Security board. Whether she's affiliated. Now, these are complaints that I have gotten. I can't say for sure that is what she has done, but these are complaints that, I have gotten in my inbox that, I wouldn't want to bring out names or whatever. But, those are the types of complaints that you get that, she isn't stepping up because maybe this person is affiliated to her or goes to church with her or is a very close friend or, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I guess policy for Social Security has to be looked at. The laws as it relates to Social Security or the employers and paying in their benefits, it needs to be looked at. I mean, this conversation has been going on for years. It has come up since COVID, and I don't know that employees should be suffering.
Well, they shouldn't.
Because
they shouldn't be suffering. But again, we have to look at, without having all the intimate information as to where the problems are, it's hard to really point fingers, and I don't want to personally attack persons within any department. If there's a structural issue with the way things are being run, then that needs to be looked at, because across the board, before COVID, if you apply for any kind of benefits through Social Security, they have their guidelines.
Yeah.
And those guidelines, like you said earlier, has to be followed. And if people are compliant with those guidelines, there shouldn't be any blockage. There shouldn't be any holdup. But a lot of the people who are also complaining, maybe they are also complaining because you could share the blame, they could share some of the blame, the employers could share some of the blames, and all the other scenarios why people are not getting money from Social Security. You and I know some of those. If we want to admit to those, I'm a self-employed person. It's very difficult for me right now to have to pay Social Security, NHI, taxes, and still make a reasonable living.
But you then, because you work for yourself.
Yeah.
Do you employ people?
Yeah, sometimes.
You pay theirs though?
No. They pay their own. They work as contractors.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
So do you go in and claim Social Security knowing that you haven't paid in though?
No.
Exactly. So I don't think people are out here trying to...
But there are some though. There are some people...
Because you had the Minister of Education, the Honorable Talia Whitley, who said to people up on this ticket that go in, file, you will get money from Social Security. Which confuses people.
Yeah.
That will confuse people.
Yeah.
Which is something with this government, but we're going to get there.
If you hear that, I didn't hear that.
No, he said it on the sticker. We have the recordings. I wish I could get it right now. He said that. Send it in. Don't listen to all of the talk, because they like to say that. And people just can't, well, the minister for the subject has said more than 2,000 people haven't qualified, so people aren't getting the money.
Yeah.
We're going to take a short break and we'll come right back.
Father Jesus, that line here long like church service.
Alright, do you enjoy the rest of it then? Next customer line, please. Wait, hold on a second.
Yes, Sonny boy, come, yes, Sonny.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sonny boy. Hold on there. You must have cut fun topic.
It's okay. I'll take care of it.
What? No man to take care of me.
How may I assist you?
Yes.
You want top of power?
You want top of power?
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top of power?
Welcome back. Sam and I are sitting and we're discussing, and we are going to try to, get to the bottom of a few things here this evening. We're going to go back just a bit. We got carried away a bit on the social security issue, but we're going to try to bring ourselves back and talk about, the management by government of the whole COVID-19 situation. Sam, let's talk about what do you think the opening of the border should look like? What do you think that protocol may entail, what it might look like?
Well, based on what everybody else is putting out, I would assume that we could tailor much of that and out of our reopening protocol. Right now we have certain laws and certain measures that we here locally have to follow. So I would assume that anybody that come to our territory will have to follow some of the same guidelines. That's one. But I understand that the cry is right now for government to put something out so people who would be able to share with their travelers. And I think that's the right move. They should be doing that.
Yeah, it is the right move, and I want to be a little careful with this because, this touches on tourism, and I kind of stay away from tourism.
You work in tourism?
For clear obvious reasons, but I guess I look at people commenting, potential guests, businesses as well, other residents, because it's holistic, and they want to know. They want to know what the opening plan is. Why is it taking so long? My personal feeling is that any big hoopla would have had a plan right there and then. We're opening on December 1. This is the plan with such clarity that you couldn't get it wrong, and you give people enough time, 2 months lead time to start booking. If not, businesses have lost the entire year. Whatever they could have make up in December into January, they would have kind of lost any.
Yes and no. Here's my thing, though. Here's my take on it. In the absence of a government plan or a government protocol plan, I spoke to several persons yesterday, one of the big charter companies. They told me, start looking for boats coming from Virgin Gorda, from Dry Dock. They already start putting masts and sail and everything up. Within the next 2 weeks, you'll see a big movement over at these locations. I spoke to a friend of mine over in Yost-Van Dyke. As soon as the government made the announcement about the date, the reopening date, those persons over there got up to 72 inquiries. Yes, the people are asking those questions. Can I use St. Thomas? Would I need to quarantine? All of those things. That person said to them, we don't know yet. But what I would suggest and what they have suggested to their potential customers, this is what everybody else is doing. This is what's required from many of those islands. we assuming that this is what you're gonna have to do when you get here, so start preparing yourself. And this is what's happening right now. You understand what I'm saying? So my advice to the businesses, just start putting your plan in place. Start putting your plans in place, start following the trend of other Caribbean islands, Antigua, for example, Bahamas, for example, Barbados, for example. We see what they are doing, and if I'm correct, much of them are doing the same thing. In the case of Bahamas, they just announced that they are going to remove the stay in place kind of vacation. They had promoted the bubble. They are now removing that because they now have a rapid test system in place. I would suggest to the government we look for things like that. I'm sure they're looking at it. I think Carvin is a very smart Minister of Health. I think he's looking at all the options. So I would again suggest to the businesses, rather than sitting back, continue complaining. And I'm not saying this in a bad way now. Rather than complaining, take those things and turn them into something good.
I think most of the businesses are preparing themselves.
Okay.
Most of the questions are coming from potential guests that want to come in. You're not going to book a flight unless you know what you're going to be subjected to. So I think that's where the problem is.
I am pushed back a little bit on that. I agree with you, but I also would share this that my friend in Jos Van Dyke, 2 days after, he got 16 bookings for the whole month of December.
Okay.
16. So
What
people
is this,
are
a
booking.
restaurant?
This is a hotel /
Oh, okay.
restaurant, beach bar, the whole night. The fellow that I spoke with yesterday about the Morins is right now contemplating 3 regatta in January. They've already have booking inquiries. They've already got bookings. People
Well,
are
we can contemplate, right? Because there was supposed to be a regatta coming up this October. Is that happening?
No, that
Okay,
can't
because
happen.
we had no idea that we would
Yes,
be here.
yes.
Just like we don't have any idea what's going to happen with what the protocol would be for traveling in here.
Yeah.
So, in terms of regattas and big events, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I like about that whole conversation, though, even if they don't have 3 regattas in January, at least they are planning. They're looking forward. They're preparing. They're positioning themselves. So I would again suggest to businesses, start positioning yourself. You know, I follow CTA, or CTO. Sorry, I am always on their Zooms. And they are having a lot of meaningful discussions about what other countries are doing, and you hear from the expert. Start looking at some of those things, start tailoring those. I saw a plan just recently, I don't know if it's from the BVICCHA. I thought it was a wonderful plan.
Yeah.
Maybe they should just
With
go
some
ahead.
suggestions?
Yeah,
I
some
think
suggestions.
it came out yesterday.
So go ahead and just start implementing those. Wherever you could implement those, pushing your membership to start adhering to some of those. Look at the local protocols, because whatever is applied to us will apply to those when they come, if they do come, when they're allowed to come. So why not just, instead of
I'm
sitting
hoping
there,
not, but okay.
hoping not what?
That what applies to them applies to us.
No, I'm saying whatever apply to us as far as the protocols, as far as, distancing and sanitizing and all of those things. When a tourist reach here, the only addition to whatever protocol we have now is what exactly the tourist will need to do or have before he actually could set foot on our shores. But once he's here, he's following the same rules you and I have to follow.
Correct.
So let's start encouraging each other, start sharing best practices with each other, start encouraging each other to do the right thing.
I think right now the country is doing a good job in terms of observing the different protocols.
Really?
I think so. I've been looking around.
Yeah, doing a good job.
I mean, I've been looking around, and I mean, we're gonna jump into a funny little subject because I can't blame the people for the blow up that we just had. I would not blame them because I think they were doing what they were supposed to do, and I think the government faltered in protecting us. If you understand, and I'm talking about the security of the border in particular, because security, the border has been a problem forever.
Yeah, and will continue to be.
It will continue to be a problem. We have a very open border.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It's
A
very
lot of
difficult
territories.
to, but at the same time, I don't feel like the government was doing all that needed to be done to secure us in COVID with the COVID situation. And so I don't not necessarily, I don't blame the public for the fallout that has just happened. We've taken the blame. The blame has been put on the population. We're not following the protocols. I don't agree. It went on, the businesses suffered. The bars are still suffering. What is your take on the bars? They're still suffering. Those are businesses as well. And again, I think a handful of people have received money from trade. 90% of the people haven't. So, I mean, those businesses are still suffering because the government wasn't proactive or took human smuggling or the depth of the problem with our border serious enough. That's
Yes.
how I feel.
Yesterday, I drove around the whole territory. And I stopped at different bars and restaurants in different areas throughout the BVI. I stopped at a friend of mine who has a really nice lookout spot. And he was complaining to me that he think now the policing of the social distancing task force could be a bit overwhelmed. So while in our discussion, he's saying to me that he knows the rules and blah, 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 and most of the people, he had a special event, blah, blah, blah. And I said, where's the rules? He said, it's in there somewhere. I said, first of all, go get the rules, blow it up big enough to ensure that you put it on your place of business. So everybody that patronizes you, he has a restaurant/bar. Everybody that come to your restaurant, if you don't hire somebody specifically to police the crowd, then the rules should be there clear enough so everybody understand what the rules are. So in the case of the police coming around now, there'll be no excuse, there'll be no harassment because you are complying. No, based on what he told me, he wasn't complying. But it's a problem. So you ain't putting no blame on the people. You're putting the blame on the government. So now the government has a social distancing task force with individuals and police officers, health service authority persons, who are going around telling you, put on your mask, social distance, you're going to get a $100 ticket. Them complaining, them getting a $100 ticket, but then them still complaining that some saying the government ain't doing them job.
No,
but
Sam,
yet
we're clear. So we're clear. I am saying that I blame the government for the past fallout as it relates to COVID. If you have 0 cases in a territory, why am I running around with a mask? Why do we need to social distance, Sam? If you're saying we have 0 cases, you've opened back up so we can move around, right?
Internally.
Yes, internally. We're talking about internally.
But
Hold on.
externally, you still have problems
And
with
that
all
is where-
people, with
No, no,
all
no,
people,
no,
not government,
no.
all people doing the wrong thing. All people.
Sam, if our laws aren't going to work, if you're not going to do the right thing as our leadership, then stuff will fall through. You almost make me swear on the TV.
Don't swear.
Stuff will fall, it will fall through. So that's what I'm saying. The borders weren't protected properly. And so then we had this whole blow up.
So right now, the
Businesses suffered again, everything fell back. And our government doesn't have any money. You know that. I know that. We don't have any money. We just came off of a Cat 10 hurricane back in 2017. We don't have any money. We haven't been able to bring ourselves back to.
our borders.
So yes, when it comes to our borders, I totally blame the government because I think it could have been handled better. And until there was a blow up, only then they made a fuss about, oh, let's do this. Let's put this plan in place. So you didn't take it serious before?
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Listen, I'm not going to debate that. All I'm saying is that the blame has to go in many directions.
Well, no,
And
it does because now that we see that we're not being protected by our leadership as much as we need to be, we have to be extra cautious. You know, I heard, I still call them the honorables once they sat in our house of assembly. I do that. I heard the Honorable Walwyn said the other week on a show, he was saying that we have to rewire basically, our minds and how we socialize. Caribbean people are not going to rewire their minds on how they socialize. It's going to take a few generations to usher that in. If I pass you, I'm going to hug you. It's hard to stand 6 feet from a friend and have a conversation. I saw a funeral over the weekend. I didn't see any police in there. It was packed. There was no social distancing. So what are you going to do?
And what you think would have happened now had the cops or the task force gone and
Well, I guess that was a
You know.
special event.
there's personal responsibility and blame to pass around ourselves. And we all in this together. Yes, I want to hug you, but if right now you're going to be the cause of my death, I ain't hugging you. If you're
Are
going to
we
be the
really
cause...
dying? Let's discuss this
Well,
some more.
no, we're not dying. I'm not going...
Okay, let's do that. Let's do that. I think we're down to 3 cases, right?
One.
One.
Last
one.
time I saw,
One.
yeah.
We have 1 case. Wonderful. We're doing an amazing job. Dr.
Yeah.
Georges and his team over there at the hospital. They're doing
And the
an
minister,
amazing
and the Minister
job.
for Health. And the
Yes,
Minister
he
for
brings
Health,
the information
yeah.
forward.
And the
So,
Minister for Health.
so
Thank you, Minister for Health. Thank you, government.
and your entire team.
Yeah.
Wonderful. We're down to 1. Why are we still on a curfew? Even better yet, the good minister for the subject made a big boo-boo. I kind of look at the glass half full when things are said, but I don't jump in where I don't want to jump in. So he said there could be 1,500 undetected cases floating around. What do you think about that?
I really don't understand the context of that conversation. So I don't want to comment on that.
You don't want to.
But I
You mean
what I
the
would
context
say,
of what he said, or
yeah,
how I'm asking you?
what
he said
what
and
he
how
said
he said it.
and what he's looking at, the data he's looking at. But I would say, using my own judgment, that there are probably hundreds of people throughout the BVI who are asymptomatic, who might be who could be sick without showing any type of sickness or illness. And those are the same people who could be community spreaders.
Here's what I think, though. If we had that number of people running around with this virus, they don't know they have it, but they're carriers. And we only have 1 case.
One case
What does
that
that,
we know.
what does that say to you?
Well, it says to me like every other population in the world that you have a
No,
large
it
number.
says that it is impossible for us to have 1,500 carriers and we don't have more sickness.
No.
Yeah,
No.
or more death. And it says to me then that our population is actually doing well against COVID,
I
if you
think-
ask me.
I think you
That's
have
how I analyzed
I
it.
think you have a healthier population. Yes,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yes,
I give that, like,
I agree.
that's good, because if you're saying you could have 1,500
Mm-hmm.
carriers, they're going to infect people. These 1,500 people may not show symptoms, but they're going to pass on to people.
Yeah,
But that
and-
is, it's not evident.
Yeah, but those people they might
Or you're
carry,
healthy.
those people that they might pass on the problem to may also not show. So you have a lot of carriers throughout the world.
So
and
we
all
have
of the-
30,000 carriers?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
it's-
I'm
this is what I'm
telling you,
saying, like-
I personally believe there are people in this community who are asymptomatic. And until somebody shows some sign of illness, they are not going to go and get themselves checked.
Yeah, but Sam, I could be asymptomatic
Yeah,
and you're not.
yeah.
And I make you sick.
And what the
So
government...
what I'm saying, though, that is not happening. So it's not happening. If you have 1,500 people that you think are carriers that are not showing, then you would have had more cases.
I hear what you're saying, but I'm not focusing on the 1,500. And what I look at is, let's say you have 100 people right now in a community, and based on the protocols that people, if they're adhering to the protocols, chances are they're not spreading it as much, as bad as you would assume.
I
Right?
just think
but it
it's-
doesn't mean that they're not sick. It doesn't mean that they're not carriers. We could have carriers in this community.
And I'm agreeing with you
Okay.
that we could have carriers, but where's the evidence
You know,
that
well,
we do?
The only time you can get evidence is when people check themselves in. I mean,
If 10 of us are
That's-
sitting in
that-
the room
yeah.
and 3 of us are asymptomatic, at least 3 people will get sick.
Sure, but the only time you would know if those 3 people that got
No,
sick,
you're gonna make 3 people sick, probably who are going to show.
we don't know that.
Yeah.
We
Well,
don't
then
know
you're
that.
then you're
We
saying
don't-
what I'm
I mean,
saying
look
to
at-
you. So you're telling me that
No.
we have 30,000 asymptomatic people in the BVI.
No, what I'm saying to you is this. Look, for example, many of the reports coming out to the United States. Even the CDC says there are probably more people throughout the United States population in every state that are sick but are asymptomatic. And unless I have a chronic disease and you infect me, I will never say anything unless I have a need for extra services. So you could have people throughout your community that are asymptomatic, they're passing the virus over the quarantine time, over the 14-day time.
Yeah, the passing it. I mean, what I'm saying there are no numbers showing that.
But
we're
how you
sick.
gonna get the numbers if nobody reporting?
No, that's what I'm saying. Somebody must be sick. Everybody's not asymptomatic, so somebody is gonna get sick.
You know,
Sick
recently,
enough to go to the hospital
recently
and
when
maybe
the
get,
government, recently when the government
thing.
did the contact tracing, the only reason they found so many people is because they reached out to those people because they were in contact with the persons who came to the hospital to get
Sam,
to
there
get checked.
are
You realize that, right?
Sam, there are people out there who have said that the government has called them to tell them they are not positive and they did not even have a COVID test. We're gonna take a break and come right back.
Is business slow? Cash flow down? Hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Father Jesus, that line here long like church service.
Alright, you enjoy the rest of it then. Next customer line, please. Wait, hold on a second.
Yes, Sonny boy, come, yes, Sonny.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sonny boy. Hold on there. You must have cut front of people.
It's okay. I'll take care of it.
What? No man to take care of me.
How may I assist you? You want top of power?
You want top of power?
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top of power?
Welcome back. I'm so excited to be back with you guys on a second season of Cut Deep. This is episode 1, part 1. Next week, we're going to have part 2 still with our guest, Sam Henry. And we're going to just get right back into the conversation quickly and try to bring up a smaller question or a bigger question that could, lead us into close off. So, Sam, let's talk about the governor and his decision to... I don't want to use the wrong word because he didn't override or any of that, but his decision to bring the ships in to assist with protecting our borders?
Well, in a short answer to that, I would say I would tell the premier, the persons in charge of national security, and the police chief, the governor, now that you have the ship in port or assisting the BVI for a month, now is the golden time to really show how much you really support border security, internal security, by training, utilizing members of the ship to start training some of our officers, our custom officers, or even our immigration officers.
Do you think our government would allow it?
They don't have a choice. The governor has the power. He's in charge of national security. The governor has the power. He said so. He has
So then you don't
constitutional
have
right.
a problem with him bringing back the ships?
I have a problem in the manner in which it came back. If the story...
How did it come back?
Well, this is
As you understand it.
as I understand it, the ship makes regular calls anyway. Well, this one would have...
Yeah, they come
made
for
some-
hurricane season.
They come for
correct.
hurricane season. They're also doing a lot of joint operation throughout the Caribbean.
Okay.
I just saw a report where they caught a whole bunch of drugs and stuff in between the U.S. Coast Guard and the Dutch Navy. I feel personally, in certain situations like this, it should be under the direction of the premier or the leader of the country, where it's needed. If the premier said he didn't need it right now, I can live with that. The premier sits on the Security Council. He understands what we have and what we don't have. I feel like if the governor, he's been here what, 3 years now?
Almost, yeah.
Before he came, we had another 4 years because he got his time extended. I haven't seen any real effort to bring national security up to standard here in the BVI from the governor's office, from the governor or the chief of police.
But is that their job?
Of course it's their job. He's in charge of national security. He's in charge of policing. He's in charge of anything that relates to security in this country. So if the governor was really interested in providing training and a high level of security for all men and women here in the BVI, you would have seen an effort years ago.
I see, under this governor, I've seen a lot of training for our local police officers here on the ground. I don't know who has been sent off. I would have to inquire. I really don't know. A couple of friends and I even spoke about it around election time. The heightened security. Did you see them training?
I saw some new recruits.
They were training for riots. They were being trained to deal with riots.
Okay.
I saw it. So I can say I've seen this under this governor. I'm going to tell you, I was away for a while, so I can't speak to what has happened prior to the past 6 years into 16 years back of that. So I've seen that under this governor. The problem for me is this. We tend to ask for money. We like money. We like that cash that we can pass out or use to continue our ongoing campaigning, using the government funds to do that. So we like money where we can get money so we can give it to whoever we want to do whatever, carry on our agendas. Okay? That's how I feel. If the BVI is under the UK, right, and we're having issues, if we need assistance, and we go to them and we say we want a certain amount of money, and they said to us, well, we're kind of in the same position. Everybody has to just pay attention to their own purses. I can't give you the cash, but I can give you services. What is wrong with that? If you can get the Queen's Army or her Navy or whatever, a couple ships to come in and man the borders with their helicopters or whatever they have on those boats, why pay somebody else to do it? That doesn't make any logical sense to me. We need money for so many different things. Their businesses failing, families. I saw on the community board last night where, they were calling for help for a young lady that needed some place to stay last night. Why can't we use funds towards those things instead of paying it out to an independent contractor to manage the borders when the UK can say, have our ships? We can't give you the money, use the ship.
I hear you.
What is so wrong with that?
I hear you, but them ships ain't coming for free.
What are they coming for?
They ain't coming for free.
You tell me.
And you have 12 months in a year. And all of a sudden, you're going to make a big spectacle of a ship coming in for 1 month. So
I don't agree. I do not agree.
What happened to November? What happened to December?
I don't
what happened
agree.
to January? What happened to, and again...
Well, the governor said he is going to see how this month goes.
Yeah, they're going to see
So
how much...
it's not...
They're going to see how much money they can actually afford us through the services of the ship.
And if that's what
And
it
then-
is,
and
at
then-
least
and
they
then what-
afforded us some help.
And then what we have to pay back. Because there's a form of payback.
What is
it? ain't
it?
free. It's
What is
not
it?
going to be free. And
Tell
again,
me, what do you foresee us having to give up for this?
a lot. What I see.
You see, this is the sing-song story that you guys carry around that
hold
irritates
on.
me.
Well, we lack the capacity to build our own border security, national security. Again, if you're going to
Do we lack the capacity, or is it just was not on? It's not been on the table for governments for decades. It's not been important.
According to the governor, we are stretched. We don't have the capacity. We don't have the assets. So I'm saying to you,
because we don't want to have the assets, is what I'm saying to you.
okay,
We've spent so much stupid money. Customs and immigration, both police, both have been down for years. Why? Why have they been down to one boat? There's no real reason. How much is a boat?
I ain't gonna fight you.
$300,000?
I ain't gonna fight you. I could get for less.
You know how much of that we just give out all the time? We paid about almost $100,000-something to the lady down the road for flowers for Mother's Day.
I understand all of that, but
Okay.
again, I'm going right back
So-
to the governor and the governor's role. The governor's solely responsible for national security.
And he did his job.
And if the governor is really interested, or the governor's office, because I don't want to point finger at the individual, but
Correct.
the office
The
itself.
office.
If the governor's office is really interested in border security and national security of this territory or any of the territories, they have access to some of the most advanced technology. They have all of the assets that we, all police or custom, could use. I would like to see more training. I would like to see more assets on the ground. I remember the last 8 years, the debate on it in the national security and the persons responsible when they were debating these cameras, putting cameras up and putting the infrastructure in place to properly man our borders. And some of those measures did not come forward for some of the same reason we are here debating. But the governor ultimately is responsible.
Okay, the
Using
governor is
Constitution.
responsible, but where does the funding come from?
It comes from the UK. It should come from them.
Okay, so you're saying it should come from them,
we
but
shouldn't
where
have-
does it come from, though?
It comes
from
from
the
us.
BVI government.
Yes,
So
yes.
unless we prioritize it and say we're putting this... You remember the last governor actually had to dip his hand in when he was tired of the premier, and he just took the money for the police. It's not an overreach. We have to get serious about a lot of things around here. Sam, the time is boiling. The time is boiling down on us. And so we are going to wrap it up for this week. Sam and I are going to be back here with part 2 next week, and we look forward to having you guys and continuing this discussion. See you next week, Sam.